Hello, have you ever tried to visit Japan in your life? Well, I suggest that you go to Japan if you have a chance in the future, and here is why. So, how did Japanese culture gain many interests from the world? I would assume there's two interesting things that we have in Japan, which is our own distinct Japanese culture food and our architecture component in our country, which has to do with religion and then the modern architecture. So, first, I want to talk about the Japanese food. Which essentially can be categorized into two. One is called B class food, which is street food in Japan, and then one other one is called any other food that's gourmet food that you can eat it at a restaurant or fine dining. So, what is B class food, or essentially called street food in Japan? Street food or B class food is a reasonable price food that people love to eat in Japan, and that includes donburi, yakisoba, curry rice, ramen, and there's many, many more. Um, People like this is because it is a lot tastier. You don't have to go to a restaurant to buy them. Usually they sell it at the convention, and it is a lot of varieties. If you go to like in many places in Japan, like say you go to North Bar, you get the North seafood, street food. If you go to the South, it's more of a ramen central, so you get a lot of different kinds of ramen. And here is an example that I wanted to show you. Um, this is a donburi. It's a lot of kind of donburi that we have in Japan, and people love them because it is absolutely phenomenal. You can pick any kind of donburi, and donburi is essentially a food on over rice. So, like, say there's a katsu donburi, which is katsu is a fried pork cutlet over rice, or there's like a tuna uh, over rice, essentially similar to like a ahi poke, but we have it in the sashimi form. We put soy sauce or wasabi. And then the next one, the yakisoba, which is a shoyu flavored grilled noodle. And that is really popular in Japan. People love them all the time. I ate it just this afternoon too. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me right now because I ate it, but yeah. So that's also that. And of course, I don't know if you tried it. This was my last night's meal. It was a katsu curry rice. And that's also a B class food in Japan. It's considered cheap and you can get it anywhere. It's really tasty. And also, here's a picture of ramen. And one of my favorite food is ramen, and that's because ramen has a lot of flavors. And then my one of my favorite is called tonkotsu ramen, and it is made out of pork bone marrow, and it's really really rich, has a creamy texture in the soup, and it's really well known. Now I want to talk about the gourmet food. Um, and say if you go have you I don't know if you haven't been to teppanyaki, but teppanyaki is a grill that you grill it on top of an iron plate, and then the chef will prepare in front of you. And so the services is included in the food, so the food will be typically really expensive, but you also see how chef prepares your food in front of you. And then the next one is called kaiseki, course food. Kaiseki is essentially a French course menu of a Japanese version. So you get an appetizer, you get soup, salad, and then the main dish, and then the dessert at the end. And all Japanese food, and it's really delicious. And you usually have it at the Japanese hotel. That is, really nice Japanese hotel. And the third one is, of course, sushi. The chef will prepare in front of you, and you can ask for omakase, which is a special of that day. So those are the two distinct type of Japanese food that I think is really interesting to a lot of people in the world, and that's why Japanese food is considered one thing. And another thing I want to talk about is architecture, which we have a lot of historical architecture. One is called temple, and here's a picture of a temple. Temple is usually a house for Buddhism practice. So the monk lives in the temple and then takes care of the Buddha inside the temple, and he lives in there. But there's another thing called shrine, which is God of Way Shinto religion in Japan. Um, that is different between the temple and the shrine. It's because the shrine is for house for the god, and not it is not the place to live or place to pray. It's a sacred place for God. So that's the two distinct religion building. And we also have a Olympic building that's for the modern architecture. And then in Japan, the architecture skills or the technique is really, really high. So we do have a lot of building that is modern design building and that people would like to see. And this is another example. It's called Tokyo Skytree. And Tokyo Skytree is essentially a tower for the TV station. It's the world's tallest TV radio tower in the world. So those are the two things that I think that why Japan is really popular around the world. So after hearing my speech, I want to ask you, so how many of you want to go to Japan after you heard my speech? And my word at the end will be, I hope you visit Japan once in your lifetime to experience at least one thing I introduced. So, thank you.